Hi, I'm Frankie. I'm the digital marketing lead at CyberSmart. And today we are going to talk about why LinkedIn is going to own the next decade of B2B marketing. So B2B is actually 50% of the UK FTSE 350 and is actually 40% of all businesses in Great Britain. Not many people know that, and this was actually given to us when we went to the LinkedIn B2 Believe event in London, and it's quite an outstanding thing to know about how big B2B is in the UK. So in the ever-evolving landscape of social media, the main platform is that you should all care about is LinkedIn. But why is it that you should care about it? And why is it so dominant? So let's first stop here and go through like a brief history of social media. So the first email was sent 1971. Does anyone recognize any of this is, by the way, this is pre-social media, this line, but I just thought I'd put those in for context. So does anyone recognize any of the logos from the first couple of points on the timeline? Yeah? Yeah, that's AOL. That's the AIM messenger. You're right.
Yeah.
And that's not there anymore. Does anyone recognize any others? Wikipedia, yeah, well done. That's their first logo. And obviously, as we go along the timeline, you have, I don't know, does anyone know? So I'm asking the audience here. No? Okay, so does anyone recognize this one here? Yeah, you're right, that is YouTube. This one, this logo, it should be giving you a clue. That's the original Twitter logo, you're right. And then this one, it's going to make me feel, that's the first Instagram logo, yeah, correct. And then we have, yeah, I don't know why any of you know that. This one is, it says it in the tin. And then this one is actually the first TikTok logo. So we have AIM, 6 Degrees, both dead. Friendster was on there as well, dead. Google Plus, dead. No surprises there. So this is like a quick, I'm not going to go through everything because it's like quite a busy slide, but let's go through like the main features and main things that happened for Facebook. So in June 2006, they tried to buy, Yahoo tried to buy them. In September 2006, they actually released the newsfeed and status updates. In 2029, the like button came about. In 2014, they actually bought WhatsApp, one of the best acquisitions in all time. In March 2017, Stories got released. But you'll notice actually that Stories was released first by Snapchat. Facebook tried to buy them in 2013, didn't get what they wanted, and then obviously came after them hard with Stories on Instagram, and obviously just trying to dominate them because they're very upset that they didn't manage to buy Snapchat. Some other funny things that happened, Facebook tried to buy Twitter. What a different world we'd be in now, in 2008. And also they acquired Periscope. Does anyone remember Periscope? No, it was like a live platform app, which then coherently created live video on Facebook and also created live video on Instagram. So you can see like they all correlate. If someone comes up with a good idea, everyone else copies it, basically. Who's this guy? Does anyone know? He threw a massive spanner for all of these companies that were doing advertising and making their money through advertising. So this nice little feature you get on your iOS is basically Apple's app tracking transparency feature. And it got released in iOS 14.5, and it was every advertiser's worst nightmare. It basically meant that tracking is just very unreliable. When it used to be very reliable. You could track to the pound how much money you put in and how much money you're getting back out. With this update, it completely changed the landscape, and it's much more difficult to track. Apps require like explicit permission before any activity is fed back into these platforms, and also the default setting is to opt out. So there is lots of limitations to getting the IDFA, which is the identifier for the advertisers. What impact did it have on all of these social medias advertising models? Because bearing in mind that is mainly how they make money. That is the primary way they make money. So there was a significant reduction in user level data available for targeting and measurement. Facebook now known as Meta, they reported a $10 billion impact on their revenue in 2022. Yeah. That's a lot of money. Opt-in rates are initially low, but they've stabilized around 25 to 30% across most app categories. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, just for the record, because this is a stat off some internet, how many of you opt in when it asks you whether or not you would like to be tracked when you download an app? Do you put your hands up if you say yes? No one. So this stat is completely wrong. So there you go. The cost of acquisition increased by about 60% over the year for advertisers. So it's a massive impact, and that guy Tim Cook was very happy about it because he is modeling his positioning around Apple around privacy. So that's just a brief understanding of the history. There's obviously lots more there, but just gives you like a nice understanding of what went down and what's happening now. So we're going to talk about how to win at B2B advertising. So this is the LinkedIn economic graph, very recent, and they've just hit 1 billion members worldwide. There's 67 million companies on LinkedIn. There's also 15 million jobs being advertised at any one time. There's 41,000 skills listed on there, and there's 133,000 schools around the world that have a profile on LinkedIn. So what is the importance of brand and trust in B2B? So, and how is it coming from LinkedIn? So there's, as we said, there's 67 million companies on LinkedIn. Oh, sorry. Oh, 1 second. There you go. 40% of LinkedIn users are engaging with a company page organically every week. And organically being you post just from your page, 40% of you today are engaging with this content, which is really good. 94% of B2B marketers are using LinkedIn for content marketing, and is making it one of the top platforms for B2B content distribution. And LinkedIn ads can actually reach 12% of the global population of decision makers. I think that's a really key thing to note, because when it comes to B2B, it doesn't matter who you're really talking to unless the decision makers are influenced. So let's just look at the global map for LinkedIn and what this billion members means. You can see the majority of them are coming from the US. We actually have a massive growth in Europe, which is in that cohort there. Quite a few in Africa, like we have 11 million in Egypt and South Africa. The UAE, Saudi Arabia has around 18 million just between them. It's 143 million in India. That's a massive growth there. And yeah, there's 31 million in Indonesia. And this actually kind of correlates with other social media such as Meta. You do see similar, not the same amount. There's not 1 billion members on Meta. I think there's now around 3.3 billion. But in terms of the percentage split, it's roughly the same. Ad performance and return on investment with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn advertising is earning around 6 billion a year in revenue, and that was in 2022. That shows a lot of confidence in their products, and when their earnings report come out, I think in March, it'll be really interesting to see how this has grown. 65% of B2B organizations have acquired clients successfully with LinkedIn ads. And LinkedIn is generating a 2 to 5 times higher return on ad spend compared to other platforms. So what is their unique position in B2B? So why is this so successful, and why is LinkedIn the route for most B2B companies, and why am I recommending it to you? So ultimately, there's a professional focus. So it's unlike any other social media. I mean, it's gone through its like ups and downs in terms of content quality, but overall, it's a professional atmosphere. And users are typically like have a business mindset when they go on this platform. They want to learn things. They want to engage in conversations around potentially legislation, potentially new product launches, and it's a healthier business environment than other platforms. The advanced targeting capability. So LinkedIn targeting compared to others is very powerful based on job titles that you can target, based on the specific industries you can target, and also the fact that you can know the company size of the company that you're targeting. you can't really do this on any other platforms as accurately as LinkedIn. Everyone is given LinkedIn this information so that you can use it to then advertise to them. So that's where it has its uniqueness in terms of the precision of its targeting. The trust and credibility element. So LinkedIn is actually seen as a more trustworthy source of information. So 64% of buyers are saying that an organization's thought leadership content on LinkedIn is more trustworthy. Is more trustworthy in terms of assessing its capabilities than typical marketing materials such as an advert. And I'll go into what thought leadership is in a moment. But this report came from no, it's the wrong link. I thought it was GW. But yeah, this report was delivered to us. This stat was delivered to us by LinkedIn again in their London event. So, what is the future of LinkedIn? This is quite an important thing to look at. So employees are actually your strongest advocates and most effective influencers. So between your employees, if you like, on average, the combined following of all company employees is actually 12 times larger than the company itself. So if you got all your employees together and looked at all their connections, you will have 12 times more of reach than your current page on average. And what does this mean? Like, why is this important? So what this is now generating is a new type of influencer. We all know what influencers are. Everyone is aware of them. And you would argue that influencers stand on sort of the celebrity type status, but thought leaders are actually going for more of a credibility type status. So this is now creating a new type of influencer, which is actually considered thought leaders. And these are some of the biggest ones in the world. You can see they have lots of connections. They obviously have that top voice badge. But this doesn't mean that anyone can't become this, because everyone has expertise in their industry. Everyone has individual knowledge about what it is they do day to day. And overall, you could influence someone else based on your advice. So this is a quote from the Global Integrated Thought Leadership Strategist at Dell. So she's like, make influencer marketing a strategic part of your marketing mix, but build deep, long-term relationships that are tied to a joint vision and goals. It's quite wishy-washy, to be fair. But essentially, what she's saying is individuals at the company, if they are aligned with your goals, can actually have an impact on your marketing. What you need to know as well is the B2B influencer space is actually booming. And is expected to reach $500 billion in value by 2027. And this is actually from Goldman Sachs in 2023. So this isn't like this is seriously a space that you need to be aware of and use with your business. Another major thing to note about thought leadership is how it affects every stage of the decision-making funnel. So in terms of the power of influence, and at what point it affects your decision making, it's basically at every stage. So during the awareness stage, finding out about the business in the first place, the consideration stage where you're potentially comparing options with others, and then finally on the purchase stage, which is basically what most of us want our advertising to end up doing. So LinkedIn is the go-to platform for B2B marketing, B2B influencer content. You can see here in terms of this is what I was mentioning earlier about the trustworthiness on LinkedIn, and it was actually a survey done by the Global Web Index company, and they're comparing the difference between the trustworthiness for tech buyers across the platforms, and LinkedIn does stand out as a leader compared to YouTube, Instagram and Facebook by quite a country mile. I'll tell you what though, they didn't put Reddit in here, and I think it's because Reddit is quite close to LinkedIn. That's something to bear in mind. But we can talk about that another time. So thought leader ads, they get 2 times more of a click-through rate and engagement rate compared to any other format on LinkedIn. And this is really important as well, because a lot of people earlier I saw said they're not sure about what to the success. They're not getting much success on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is expensive. If you compare it to Facebook, if you compare it to Instagram, any of the other channels, it is more expensive to do. The reason why it's more expensive is LinkedIn know their audience are valuable. They know people want to reach these people, like CEOs, the C-suite, decision makers. So they can actually increase the price. And there's obviously more people bidding for the same audience, so it costs more money. However, as I just said, thought leader ads are getting 2 times more of a click-through rate. They're getting a 62% decrease in cost per click. They're getting a 23% decrease in the cost per lead, a 252% increase in click-through rate. And that is, I've seen it. I've actually seen these results. I've done it myself. And it is really incredible how much better these thought leader ads than any other format on LinkedIn. And finally, a 48% increase in lead form completions. What would be like creative best practice? So you would want to keep it personal. So this is like actually, so what a thought leader ad is, by the way, is typically on LinkedIn, you would have posts from the page. Like you would be cyber smart, like this is a picture of our product. You should buy from us, for example. Can be quite repetitive, quite boring. From an individual's profile now, as a user of LinkedIn, you can now post. You can have a long form content on the written side. You can add a video or image. You can tag the company that you're mentioning or talking about. And you can also do things like keeping it personal, making it timely, so like it's newsworthy. You share your perspective on things, and you can incorporate your brand's DNA to it. But what this means is now anyone that has a post like this on LinkedIn can promote that post. So think about what that means. Like that technically means anyone could be talking about your company and you could promote their views on your company. Last year, you could only promote your employees' posts. So that meant anyone that worked for CyberSmart, we could promote them. Now, today, you can promote anyone's posts. So if one of our partners decides to talk about us, we can then ask them, is it okay to amplify your post? They say, yes, fantastic. We now have a third party talking about us and we're promoting them to our audience. It's unbelievably effective because it's coming from people. And this is why LinkedIn are the only company at the moment on there is no other platform that can do this. You can technically do it on Instagram, it's just not the same because of, like I said earlier, the credibility of LinkedIn's platform. I think my name is Frankie Baeza. Thank you for your attention. So I have worked with these companies in the past. I was an employee at Born Social and Jellyfish. I then went on to work with companies like Free Trade, helping them get their advertising. They've just had a quite terrible exit, but anyway. So Soldo, the spend management platform, and also Gymbox as well. And currently I am the digital marketing lead at CyberSmart. If you'd like to connect with me, this is my external emails. Happy to connect with you after after this session. But yeah, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Frankie. Cool. I think we've got a couple of minutes for questions.
Yeah,
just a couple
sure.
of minutes. Anybody got questions for Frankie? Deathly silence.
With the kind of partner posts,
Yeah.
you used to only be able to do for employees.
Yeah.
Now do for anybody.
Yeah.
You said that you like ask their permission, of course, and that kind of stuff. Is that actually something that is embedded in the app? You have to ask their permission, or can you do it without asking?
So you have to ask their permission. Yeah. So that would be a privacy issue, right? If I'm suddenly seeing thousands of people are looking at my post, and I didn't know why. So LinkedIn explicitly when you select the post, you can just put any member's name, they will come up. And then by the way, some of the posts aren't valid for promotion. So I think at the moment, if you have a PDF, for example, you're not allowed to promote those. And there might be other formats, but let's just say it's an image post with some text. I would then click request to promote, and then it would say invitation link. And then I can send that link to that individual. It will notify them as well, but just to double check that they can authorize it. There's also another setting that says auto approve every post. So if that person is someone you're going to use all the time, you can say, look, can you just put auto approve on? And then you can promote any of their posts moving forward. But yeah, definitely try it. Definitely try it.
Frank,
Yeah,
quick
sure.
question. It's easy. I think I know the answer to this because it's a bit abusive. But like, if you've got someone that manages the company page and
Yeah.
says, right, we need to be talking about that event that we did yesterday, they theoretically could set up a post and just say, look, everybody needs to just throw it out on their own channels. I'm guessing that's kind of spammy, bad type thing.
The thing is, there's not enough in the auction yet for there to be any punishment on what you're posting. So we've done it. I'll be honest. We've like I made everyone post pretty much the same thing because unfortunately, you know, some people do need to get spoon fed what to say. It is obviously better to be original, 100%.
Yeah.
I would always encourage it, but sometimes there's a lack of confidence with what people are posting, what to post. So if you just give all your employees, this is what you're posting. Please change it a little bit if you can. Here's the content. Here's the video. Do it all at the same time. There's no issues with all doing it at the same time. But what you got to remember is when you're promoting these posts, they're going to be going to people they're not connected to anyway, and whoever you decide the audience is. So we launched our partner program last year with it and saw, I think it was like a 24 times return on ad spend on that first 2 months. So from now, it's been basically one of our main formats of ads. It's been really, really good.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea to get all your staff members' profiles up to scratch as well. Then, yeah.
Yeah, you can. You don't have. I don't think you have to worry too much about their profiles being up to scratch. I think it's mainly what they're saying in that post.
Right.
Because people won't have to go on their profile to see that content. First of all,
right.
It does help obviously if they have links back to your business and they have like good frequency of posting or some sort of, you know, they don't want the wrong employer to be like listed as the employer, like up to date in that sense. So yeah, that's definitely important. But I think a lot of people we've had at work before, or I've had discussions with, are like, oh, I have like 300 connections. I'm not very popular. I'm not very big. Get worried about that. And there's nothing to worry about because you will be put in front of hundreds of thousands of people if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
So it's all, I think it was a question from yourself.
Yeah, thanks. I was kind of looking at it a personal basis, so I don't manage it from a business perspective.
Okay.
I use it from a personal perspective to promote my business.
Yeah, sure.
So what's the trick? So you talk about individual posting. Should I not be reposting? And then things like I've put hashtags in there. Should I be doing that? What are my ideas?
Hashtags is an interesting one. I've been advised that it doesn't amplify your post anymore. It isn't something you shouldn't do, but it isn't something that is going to improve the reach of your posts. If you do have a hashtag, potentially go for one, and maybe make it something that you are active in that community. So whatever it is industry might be, I don't know if you could tell me what industry you're in, like education. So for example, if there's like a hashtag in education and you engage with the content on that hashtag, then it's completely relevant for you to have it. But I wouldn't put more than maximum 3 hashtags, to be honest, on a post. And in terms of reposting, that's actually goes back to your point. You can't promote someone's repost. So I have a company post, I repost it from my profile. I can't promote that. It has to come from the profile's page. So that's a key thing to remember. It has to be your organic content. But for yourself, if you want to promote your content, you have to create an ad account. That's the first step. You have to have a page that is going to be, responsible for the payment of it. So it will say paid for by whatever your company name is. But yeah, if you want to amplify your own brand as an individual on LinkedIn, it's a very, very good way to do it. I'll be honest. It's a very smart way to do it because it pretty much guarantees getting in front of people, which is what matters, right? You just want your content to be seen. So yeah, sure. I think you both went at the same time. You go first. You go first.
Okay. I was asked recently, just started working for a new company, to encourage all employees to sign up if they weren't already to LinkedIn.
Okay.
And each employee should put the brand in their sort of background and same kind of profile blurb. Is that, I thought LinkedIn was for, it's like a personal CV, isn't it? To say what you've done and what you've and obviously connecting with people. Is that kind of common practice or not really?
It is common practice, actually. Yeah. So I think it does depend on the company and how involved they want to be with the individuals. I think people are okay with that if there's a variety of options. If everyone's looks the same, it's a bit like naff. Like you kind of want, I don't know, 10 options so everyone can decide what their favorite one is. I think in terms of the headshot or the blurb, like, you know, we add branding to ours, like a colored ring, which is our brand colors. Some use it, some don't. But overall, if you are a loyal employee to your company, it would be nice to add that branding element, especially if you're going to be doing thought leader ads. So yeah, it's a hard one really. I don't have the exact answer for that, other than just try and encourage them to do it. Yeah, yourself.
In relation to thought leaders and the LinkedIn attitude towards them, is there a way of promoting? Is it down to the number of followers you've got? Is it the content you're promoting?
No, not at all. Not at all. There is no. What's the word I'm looking for? Barriers to entry in terms of you have to hit a certain amount of followers or anything like that. You can start from scratch as long as you have an ad account. That's where you start, and that ad account has to be connected to a company page, and then that page is paying to promote your posts. But I'm pretty sure you can promote anyone from the off, so that there's no like qualification factors or anything like that. So you can.
The presentation made it look like you had to be a thought leader first.
Sorry, I apologize for that. It wasn't meant to come across like that. No, the thought leader space is. There are some that have obviously got an advantage because they started a lot earlier. Stephen Bartlett's a great example. He was actually there on that day talking about it, and he's on 2.5 million followers. Fair enough. But you have CEOs with, I don't know, 500 followers, 1,000 followers. It doesn't come up, by the way, on the post. It doesn't appear as a number how many followers they have. So it doesn't influence the thought leadership like power element. It's what you're saying is most important. What you're saying, how you're saying it, and who you're speaking to. Those are the most important things. I think you had a question.
What's your opinion on those kinds of people, like Stephen Bartlett, for instance? Obviously, he is regarded as a very businessman, and clearly is. But obviously, you know, to an extent, business can be smoke and mirrors. And recently, have mentioned certain things about it, like in the diary of the CEO, things have been said by certain individuals that may not strictly be true. And obviously he's kind of selling this idea that it is when it might not be. What's your kind of opinion on this kind of influencer status where they have control, especially in the business world, they can manipulate the market to an extent?
It's interesting because overall, if you go back to the history of advertising, you could say it was the same thing, right? You know, cigarettes being promoted by doctors. You know, I'm sure there's loads of other examples like that. It's an interesting question in terms of the authenticity of what people are saying. If there is issues with it, if you're saying something that's explicitly not true or something that someone has a problem with, you will get reported, right? If the post is reported, you will then have issues with posting in the future. So I think, but saying that, I feel for you because I know the amount of things that have changed in the past like couple of weeks based on like what Mark Zuckerberg has just said about free speech. You know, what's being said around like X and how that's changing. So it's quite hard to say, to be honest, what's going to happen. I think LinkedIn is on the healthier end of honesty with what things are being said. But if more people, more bad actors get access to this tool and start using it, it could become an issue. So it's worth, you know, verifying stuff when you see it on LinkedIn.
I would say LinkedIn's algorithms are pretty hot.
Right.
If you were to go and look behind the right doors, there's nasty people saying horrible stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You've got to be in those communities.
Right.
Looking for it. They only promote. They are fact checking stuff. That's why they've stood around. So
I mean, you saw on that timeline how early they were.
Well,
they were
before
everything else. Yeah, exactly. So they were out of all of them in the timeline, which I think is here. It's right at the start.
Didn't mention they're owned by Microsoft either. So like,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention
they're
that.
Kind of the amount of money they've got compared to the others to get it right.
This one here. Oh, I have completely messed this up. I'm sorry. This one. So in this timeline here, you can see, yeah, they came in 2003, before Facebook, before YouTube. So, and this is Reid Hoffman. So Reid Hoffman was part of PayPal. He's actually got quite an interesting interview in Diary of a CEO. I do recommend it. It's a really good one. Gives you a lot of insight on how he thinks about business. And yeah, I think I've gone over a bit on time.
No, that's fine. No, we're wrapping up with the time. But thank you. Thanks again, Frankie.
Thank you very much.